president of basketball operations, sources told ESPN. General manager Elton Brand is expected to remain in his current position, and new head coach Doc Rivers is a proponent of the hiring. Sources have said Rivers and Morey have a long history and a strong relationship. Stephen A., what should Morey do to help these 76ers win?
Matt Skellerman, I thought long and hard about this. First of all, if I'm the Houston Rockets, I don't do it. But if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers and the goal is to get to the finals, I'm Daryl Morey. The first thing I'm trying to do is get James Harden to become a Philadelphia 76er.
Ooh.
Even if it means me trading Ben Simmons. Let me say this again. I love me some Ben Simmons. I know how elite defensively he is. He's only 24 years of age, 6'10". You know, plays defense the way that he does, the basketball IQ, the basketball ability. But I will remind everybody, while we sit here and we lament the state of affairs with the Houston Rockets and all of this other stuff, let me remind everybody that for the last 3 years, James Harden has averaged 30, 36, and 34. The last 5 years, he's averaged at least 29. We know he got a handle. We know he got a shot. We know he's a scoring machine. He's a magician, okay? And the opportunity to pair him with somebody like a Joel Embiid, when you have the Tobias Harrises of the world and Thibault and all of these guys, when you look at what they have in place, what you're missing. Now, I understand there's a difference between a spot-up shooter and somebody that can dance on you all day. And I'm certainly believing that James Harden has to modify his game in terms of I shouldn't need to dribble as much as I need to dribble in order to score, because that's going to impede the flow to some degree. Can't have guys standing around and playing spectators. You tried that, it didn't work. But I'm telling you right now, even though James Harden is 31 and Ben Simmons is only 24, even though Ben Simmons, James Harden can't shine his shoes when it comes to playing defense, okay? Even though James Harden does play defense in the post area.
James Harden, you know what? No more with this. He doesn't play defense. He's a solid defender.
You'll get your chance. I'm coming right to you because I'm coming.
I was surprised by this take, by the way.
The reason I'm saying I'm coming to you is because you have mentioned in the past about separating Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. So I basically not just did this take for our audience. I did it for you.
Oh, well, thanks.
Because I want to hand it to you. But I'm just telling you, I thought about it. And with Doc Rivers as the coach, with Daryl Morey and all of them damn trades, because only the Philadelphia 76ers have made more moves than Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey will trade anything. I mean, this brother makes things happen. I'm just saying, if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers and Daryl Morey is officially named my president of basketball operations, my number one objective is to try to get James Harden in a Philadelphia 76er uniform. And I just want to say that.
Okay.
Tracy McGrady, Chris Paul, Patrick Beverley, Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams, Russell Westbrook, Clint Capella, James Harden, Dwight Howard, you name it. He has acquired all of those players over the year. Woj, good morning. Welcome in. You just broke the news at finalizing it this week to bring his magic to Philly. What more can you add?
Well, it's as you said, it was just a little over a week ago that he left the Houston Rockets. And Daryl Morey initially said he planned to take a year off and, you know, gave it the obligatory, I'm going to spend some time with my kids. They're on a gap year. But Philadelphia started pushing immediately to try to bring him to the Sixers. They got that done. They're just finalizing the language in a deal now. And, you know, suddenly there's been a pretty significant transformation in Philly. Daryl Morey is the president of basketball operations, is the title, I'm told. And obviously Doc Rivers as head coach.
Woj, I mean, that happened so fast. What a monumental change for this organization. But it leads to the question, what happens to Elton Brand, who was the GM before? Where's his autonomy in making decisions? How's this trio going to work?
Well, there is no more autonomy for Elton Brand, and I'm not sure there ever was autonomy. This is an organization where there are a lot of voices. I think Elton Brand's going to be a general manager, a very good general manager in the NBA for a long time. I think he's going to run teams elsewhere. He's got a decision to make now, and he'll talk with Daryl Morey about whether he wants to stay and be a part of this. I know the organization values him. They want to keep him. They've been chasing a big name around the league to run their basketball operations. Back 2 years when they offered the job to Daryl Morey before they promoted Elton Brand internally. Essentially, Daryl Morey used it to leverage for a new deal in Houston at that time. They pursued other top executives around the league, but I think it remains to be seen in the short term what Elton Brand is going to do. Listen, I think he did under very difficult circumstances. He was thrown into the fire in Philadelphia, taking over the team when he did. I think he's going to be better for the experience down the road. And right now, though, this is going to be Daryl Morey's show. They're going to give him, he's getting a big contract, I'm told, and he's going to have that, to make the decisions. And I think along with Doc Rivers' input, certainly as head coach, about how they're going to proceed in Philly.
Whoa, let's talk a little bit more about Daryl Morey, former team, the Houston Rockets. They obviously hired Stephen Silas as their head coach. What does this mean for Russell Westbrook and James Harden going forward?
Well, listen, I think this is a difficult job to fill right now for Stephen Silas, replacing Mike D'Antoni, who, obviously much more history there with James Harden than he did in the 1 year with Russell Westbrook. But I think Harden and D'Antoni together really maxed out their time together in terms of production. I think James Harden went to another level in D'Antoni's system. And now, as an organization, and I think Stephen Silas coming in, you wonder whether this is a group that has maybe gone as far as it can go together. They went to the small ball last year. This is a team that's been to the conference finals under Mike D'Antoni there in a very loaded Western Conference. This is a challenge for Stephen Silas. He's earned the chance to be a head coach. Almost 20 years as an assistant, grew up in the game. Obviously, people know his legendary father, Paul Silas, is a Hall of Fame player and a very, very good coach in the NBA. And I think his time under Rick Carlisle, you talk to Stephen Silas, that's really impacted him in Dallas. But this is a challenging job, and I think any success you're going to have with the Rockets is going to be built around your ability to connect with James Harden and Russell Westbrook.
Woj, how close were they to hiring Jeff Van Gundy?
They were close, Key. They were in talks with Van Gundy really over the last couple of weeks, and there were a lot of conversations with ownership, with management, with him. In the end, I think for Jeff Van Gundy, the fit just didn't feel like it was there. He has continued to live in the city of Houston ever since he left there as coach about 14 years ago. It's home for him. I do think the job was intriguing, but ultimately not a fit for, I think, a variety of reasons. I do think he'll coach again somewhere in the NBA, but Stephen Silas was a candidate that they had been talking with throughout this process. Daryl Morey interviewed him 4 years ago when they hired Mike D'Antoni. And so, listen, he gets a well-deserved opportunity here to run the Rockets.
Well, let's get to the nitty-gritty. James Harden and Russell Westbrook owed $80 million next year. Those two, $80 million next year. If they are rebuilding, if that's the angle they're going, does James Harden want to stay in Houston? Or if they are rebuilding, is Russell Westbrook their tradable asset that they can use to entice, to open up, to bring other people to Houston for James to win a world championship in a packed West?
I don't think the Rockets believe they are rebuilding. I think certainly, again, it's a group that was built in a lot of ways to play small ball for Mike D'Antoni. They got a lot out of Robert Covington and P.J. Tucker, that group. But once they traded Clint Capella to Atlanta, this team became certainly really small. They want to continue forward with these two players right now. Listen, I think James Harden is still at the very, very top of the league, at the top of his craft. Russell Westbrook, I don't know what the market would be for Russ at his contract in the league right now. Listen, they gave up a great deal to get him from Oklahoma City. Multiple pick swaps in the Chris Paul trade. And so I think right now they're married to that, to the idea of the Harden-Westbrook duo. But, you know, certainly things can change quickly in the league. And this is a team, I think a team and organization with a lot of pressure on it, you know, to continue to try to play at a high level. Or maybe you are forced to make decisions. Maybe players start to make decisions about where they want to be. And so you know that when you're kind of walking a tightrope in the league, when you have a player of Harden's caliber, if the team falls off, about what that player wants. But right now, you know, they're bringing in Stephen Silas. They want to continue to contend, and they'll try to do that with this group.
It's the start of a new era, and for more all things Texas basketball, with Silas coming over from Dallas to Houston and everything swirling about the Rockets, it's the perfect time for Woj to have Tim McMahon, who I think covers Texas basketball for us here at ESPN in the